morning, everybody. Welcome to Black Swan's new live. This is our day 2. If you joined me yesterday, you may have only gotten half of a flow. Unfortunately, the power went out here, and so we were unable to go any further. I believe we've got those issues remedied, so we're going to do our best to keep this as high-quality content for you as possible. Today, you're going to want a strap or a belt if you don't have a strap at home. This will assist getting deeper into some binds for our practice, but for right now, you can kind of leave it by your mat. My name is Robert. I have the privilege of walking you through this 9 o'clock flow. This is an all levels yoga class, so if you're new to yoga, just go ahead and listen the best you can for the cues. I find that when you're doing these types of classes, rather than watching the TV the entire time in order to find out what you're supposed to be doing, that perhaps you can just let it wash over you, listen to the cues, and try to follow along best you can based upon what you hear. That'll give you a little bit more time to focus on how the yoga feels rather than necessarily how it looks. A lot of these poses are going to ask a lot of your body. And just work with that. Try and challenge yourself. If there's things that you don't think that you can do, just go ahead and give it a try and see if you like it. Last thing that I'll say is that this feed is donation based, and these donations that you make go to our teachers. So a lot of the teachers, this is their sole source of employment. So if you would, either now before we get started or after class, right above this video is a link in order to make a donation. Any amount is welcome. We really appreciate your support during this time. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to get started standing at the top of our mat in Tadasana pose. Our toes are together. Our heels are 1 inch apart. Feel your knees and go ahead and invite a little bit of bounce, a little bit of movement into those knees with a micro bend. Draw the shoulders back. We're not puffing our chest out, nor are we caving in. Instead, we're just kind of taking up space on our mat. Let's go ahead and tuck our chin, but keep our gaze lifted. And next, I want you to imagine that there's a string running from the bottom of your hips through your spine, up through your head. I'll refer to this string throughout our practice. Go ahead and pull that string up and under, bringing everything towards the midline, belly button to the spine. Let's go ahead and close the eyes or soften the gaze, looking at nothing in particular. Let's go ahead and drop into our breath today. With an inhale, breathe in through the nose, maybe for a 3 count, holding at the top, sipping in just a little bit more air, breathing out through the nose like an ocean wave crashing on the shore, holding at the bottom. In through the nose, again, filling up the lungs and filling up the body, taking up maximum amount of space in your chest. Exhale through the nose, with sound, with volume, really focusing on drowning out all the rest of the thoughts and just thoughts on the breath. Final inhale through the nose, breathe, fill up the lungs, fill up the belly, open your mouth and sigh it out. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and invite that sense of community, even if we are thousands of miles away from each other. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into Sun Salutation A. First one, slow and together. Straight arms above the head, perhaps the hands touch together. If not, gaze towards the ceiling, gaze up to the thumbs, leave some space for the biceps around the ears. Imagine that string you're pulling up, which elongates the body up towards the ceiling without coming up on your tippy toes, without your heels leaving the mat. Exhale, preserve all of that length, swan dive over straightened legs and touch the earth. From here, press away from the earth. Feel how that lengthens the hamstrings without doing anything more than pressing down into the ground. Inhale, come to your fingertips or to your shins for a halfway lift. Lengthen your spine towards the front of your mat, your booty towards the back of your mat. Exhale, forward fold, hands to the mat, right leg back, left leg back. We are in the top of a push-up. also called a plank pose. Draw the belly into the spine. Hands are directly underneath the shoulder blades. Rather than looking down to the ground, gaze at a point 6 inches in front of your fingertips. Now, right now you are on the balls of your feet and your flat palms. With an inhale, draw the shoulders over the wrists and come to the tippy toes. With an exhale, draw back to the balls of the feet. Inhale, over the wrists. Exhale, draw back. Final inhale, draw forward. And with an exhale and as slow as you can, bend the elbows, glue them to the sides, and come to the bottom of a push-up. We're gonna hold it here as long as we can. Don't worry if you start wobbling, if your muscles start twitching. This is building muscle, building strength. Now holding it for as long as you can, pull forward onto the tops of the feet for upward facing dog. For an additional challenge on your upward facing dog, bring your tops of your feet closer together. Keep your shins, knees, and thighs off of the mat. Draw the shoulder blades back, gaze down the tip of the nose. And with an exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Our first downward facing dog of the morning, so go ahead and walk it out, putting weight into either heel. From here, we have a checklist. Our hands are flat on the mat. There's no space in between our palms and the mat. Our gaze is towards the back of the mat or up to the belly button if that feels okay on the neck. Dramatically shake your head yes, shake your head no. Now micro bend the knees, maybe deeply bend the knees, causing the knees to hover off of the mat. Using all that length, extend the booty back up to the ceiling for your best downward facing dog. Look between your hands, right foot between your hands, left foot between your hands. Halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Exhale, forward fold. Interlace the fingers behind the calves and use that bind to draw the forehead closer to the shins. Release the bind, reverse the swan dive. Gaze up at the thumbs. At the top, we're looking for a back bend, hips towards the front of the mat. Gaze back behind you. Exhale, hands pass through center, down by the side, reset. Now we know the posture. We're gonna try and link breath to movement. With an inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, plank press. Inhale, upward facing dog, knees off the mat if you can stand it. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Inhale, exhale. Final inhale, final exhale. Look between the hands, step, walk, float to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, exhale, forward fold all of the air out. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, gaze up at the thumbs. Deeper back than last time. Exhale, hands pass through center, down by the side, reset. A little faster. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, plank press. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Final inhale. Final exhale. Look between the hands, step, walk, float to the top of the mat. Halfway lift, forward fold. Reverse the swan dive, gaze up at the thumbs, deep back bend. Hands pass through center, down by the side, reset. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, plank press. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale.
Inhale. Inhale.
Look between the hands, step, walk, float to the top of the mat. Halfway lift, forward fold. Reverse the swan dive, gaze up at the thumb, back bend. Hands pass through center, down by the side. Awesome. Sun salutation B, the first one a little slower, and then we'll pick it up. Sit down in the chair pose, gaze up at the thumbs. Exhale, forward fold over straightened legs. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Exhale, hands, plank, press. Inhale, upward facing dog. Listen up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot between the hands, left heel plants. Warrior one on the inhale. Long exhale, hands to the mat. One-legged plank, press, chaturanga. Upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Same thing, other side. Left foot between the hands. Warrior one on your inhale. Hands to the mat. One-legged plank, press, chaturanga. Upward facing. Push back, downward facing dog. We're here for 5 breaths. Inhale through the nose. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Heels are heavy, booty up to the ceiling. Palms are flat on the mat. Gaze to the back of your mat. Gaze to your groin. Bring the shoulders down from the ears. For 4 and 5. Look between the hands. Step, walk, float to the top of your mat. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Sit deeply down to the chair pose. Hands pass through center, down by the side, reset. A little faster this time. Inhale, sit down in the chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, plank, press. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Right foot between the hands. Warrior one. Hands to the mat, one-legged plank, press, chaturanga. Upward facing, downward facing, left foot between the hands. Warrior one on the inhale. Hands to the mat, one-legged plank, press, chaturanga. Upward facing, push back, downward facing dog. You should have built up some heat by now. Inhale through the nose, sigh it out. Inhale, sigh it out. Now close the lips, inhale, exhale through the nose. Inhale, exhale for 4. Final inhale, final exhale. Look in between the hands, step, walk, float to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, forward fold. Sit down in the chair pose, gaze up at your thumbs. Hands pass through center, down by the side, reset. Quick pause. We're gonna take advantage of proprioception, which is, we're gonna do this last sun salutation B the entire time with our eyes closed. Make sure you don't fall down, maybe move some obstacles that are around you. You can do this. It's a focus on your balance. So, here we go. Last one, best one, leave it all on your mat with eyes closed. Sit down in the chair pose. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Hands mat, plank, press. Upward facing. Push back, downward facing dog. Right foot between the hands. Warrior one. Hands to the mat, one-legged plank, press. Upward facing. Push back, downward facing. Left foot between the hands. Warrior one. Hands to the mat, one-legged plank, press. Upward facing, downward facing dog. Inhale through the nose, sigh it out. Inhale, sigh it out.
Close the lips, inhale, exhale through the nose. Inhale, exhale through the nose. Final inhale, final exhale. With eyes closed, look to the top, jump to the top of your mat, halfway lift, forward fold. Sit down in the chair pose. Sit deeper down in the chair pose. Deepest chair pose yet. Hands pass through center, down by the side. Open your eyes. You guys did it. Feet hip width distance apart. Hands to the hips. Gaze to the ceiling. Lean over, straighten legs. Yogi toe lock, that's pointer and middle finger around the big toes. With an inhale, lengthen your spine, and with an exhale, bend the biceps, the elbows go directly behind you. Pull the head to rest comfortably on the shin. We're gonna bring some life to this posture. With every inhale, we're gonna lengthen our spine closer to the mat. With every exhale, we're gonna draw the head closer to the shins. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, deepen. Use your biceps here. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, deepen. Final one, final inhale. Final exhale. Stay bent over. We're gonna take this pose a little bit deeper for gorilla pose. Stand on the palms. Your toes are touching your wrists. Bow your arms out to the side like a gorilla. I want you to bend your knees as much as is necessary to rest your chest on your thighs. With an inhale, halfway lift. With an exhale, really bend those arms to draw the head towards the shins. Now, without lengthening up, without rising up, lengthen the spine. Exhale, draw the head. Really bow the arms out to the side. You should feel a stretch in your upper shoulder blades and back. Inhale, exhale, final inhale, and final exhale. Release the bind, hands to the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, come all the way up. Check back in with me. Our toes are together. Our heels are 1 inch apart. Micro bend in the knees, palms facing forward, shoulders are broad, chin is tucked. We're back in our reset pose. Right foot to the back of the mat. Our toes are facing in the same direction. Left foot goes out 90 degrees, arms to a T. Now we're gonna lean over our hips, lean over the straightened left leg as far as you can, and then place the left hand on the shin. Right hand comes up to the ceiling. I want you to tuck your tailbone up and under in order to engage the abs. Your gaze can remain at your planted hand or up to your lifted thumb. If you can't see your hand or it's way far back, bring it closer to the midline as if you were in a side plank. Now we can go a little bit further for this pose. Slightly come out of it. Right hand comes behind the back, comes to rest on the inside of the left thigh. This is called a half bind. This half bind is more than just show. With this bind, you're able to draw the right shoulder blade back in the socket and the gaze can come up to the ceiling. If you want a little bit more, you can raise the left palm towards the front of the mat and your gaze follows. Now we're just floating in our triangle pose. For 4 and 5. Release the bind, come back out of the pose, deeply bend the front knee. We're in warrior 2. I want you to draw your left kneecap towards the left edge of your mat. Very nice. Flip the palm, reverse the warrior. We have options here. Option 1, right hand can be on the right kneecap and leg area. Look up to your left palm. Option 2, right hand can grasp for that half bind on the left thigh. Option 3, you can go for a full bind. Both hands come behind the back. Great place for us to use your strap or your belt in order to grab behind. And you can see that I never use this, so. There we go. Grab behind, completing the bind, and over time, you will start to walk these hands closer to each other until eventually you don't need the strap. Release the bind. Let's slide into our side angle. Deeply bend the front knee. Left hand comes to hover on the outside of the bent left knee. Your left knee is glued to your left elbow. Right palm goes over the ears. Kind of twist the torso slightly to where you're gazing up at your right palm. We're here for 3, for 4, and for 5. Option for a full bind. Let's grab both hands underneath the hips. Great place for your strap. Grab from underneath here and you're able to gaze and draw that right shoulder blade into socket. If you can complete the bind, go ahead and do so. Gaze up to the ceiling. We're gonna do bird of paradise. Lots of steps in this posture. I'm gonna show it with the strap. You don't need to, obviously. Keep the strap. Step number 1, step the right foot up towards the front of the mat and stop. All right, step 2, straighten the right leg, come to the left tippy toe. Stop. Step 3, pick something in front of you that is not moving, stare at it, and maybe come a little bit out of the pose and then fall down, come up, step out of it, and eventually one day you'll be able to stand into your bird. Now, keep the knee bent at first. We're really focusing on drawing the left shoulder blade out. For full expression, you can straighten the left foot, come back out the way that you came in, release the bind, left hand 6 inches in front of the deeply bent left foot, slide into your half moon pose. Now, for our first half moon pose, keep your right hand on your right hip, keep your gaze at your planted hand. If you're feeling pretty good here, fly the right hand up to the ceiling. If you're still feeling pretty good, gaze shifts up to the right thumb. For 4 and 5, keep the leg lifted, toes point towards the mat, right hand plants, left hand comes to the ceiling. First, you can keep the left hand on your hip. Work on getting your right heel equal to your hips. Maybe you free the left hand, maybe the gaze follows. We're here for 3, for 4, and for 5. Both hands to the mat, standing split. Standing split is just drawing your right leg up to the ceiling. Both hands can be on the mat. For an additional challenge, grab one leg, maybe grab the other leg. Also, great place for handstand hops. Gaze in between your hands, hop the legs up to the ceiling, come back down the other side. Same thing, other side. Come back down. From standing split, drop the leg off 3.5, 4 foot behind you. Now, you want to avoid a tightrope in this posture. Instead, give yourself railroad tracks. Left thumb, left hip crease. Right hand inside of straightened left leg. Before you go further, use the left thumb to draw the left hip back. You'll feel an intense stretch in your left hamstring. Now you can stop here, or you can free the left hand up to the ceiling, keeping the gaze planted. Or gaze up to the lifted thumb. Make sure this left hip does not come along for the ride. For full expression of the pose, right hand comes to the outside of the straightened left leg, gaze up to the ceiling. We're here for 3, for 4, and 5. Both hands to the mat, right heel lifts, left foot comes back, one-legged plank press, upward facing, push back, downward facing dog. Look between the hands, step, walk, float to the top of your mat, halfway lift, forward fold. Reverse the swan dive, gaze up at the thumbs, deep back bend. You've been here before. Hands pass through center, down by the side, reset. Same thing, other side. Left foot comes to the rear of the mat. Both feet are facing parallel. Right foot tick-tocks out 90 degrees. Lean over as far as you can, then place the right hand on the shin or the foot. Gaze up to the left thumb. Tuck the tailbone up and under in order to fully engage the body. For an additional challenge, left hand comes around the back, comes to rest on the inside of the right thigh. From here, draw the left shoulder blade back in the socket, gaze up to the ceiling, belly button in. For full expression, right hand towards the front of the mat, gaze shifts to the right hand. Release the pose, come back to neutral, deeply bend the front knee for warrior two. Draw your right knee to the right side of your mat. Flip the palm, reverse the warrior. Again, left hand can remain on the leg, deeply bend the front knee. Left hand can come around the back for the half bind. Left hand can come around the back for the full bind. If you have the full bind, regardless, remember to deeply bend your front knee. We're here for 3, for 4, and 5. Release the bind, slide into your side angle, coming to hover on the outside of your bent right foot. Gaze up at your left palm. For 3, 4, and 5. Option for a full bind. For a full bind, breaking it down, the right elbow comes inside of the right knee, goes underneath the hips. Left hand goes around the back, completes the bind. Use the bind to really draw the left shoulder blade back and gaze up to the ceiling. Now just change the gaze back down to the ground. Left foot steps forward or multiple steps. Straighten the left leg, right tippy toe, and stop and chill for a second. Think about what you're going to do next. Now, pick something that's not moving in front of you. Slowly stand into your bent knee, bird of paradise. Stop here, chill for a second, and then maybe start to straighten the leg, coming back out of the pose the way you came in. Side angle. Right hand goes 6 inches in front of the bent right foot. We are in half moon pose. Remember your steps. Hip, free the hand, gaze up to the lifted thumb. From here, for an additional challenge, you can free the right hand to half prayer, floating in your half moon. Both hands to the mat, keep the leg lifted, toes point towards the mat, left hand plants, right hand frees to the ceiling, gaze can remain at the planted left hand or up to the right thumb. Remember to draw the heel up. Remember to draw the heel up and above the hips. For 4 and 5. Both hands to the mat, standing split, or lean forward to your handstand hops, other side. In your handstand, think about cat pose rather than cow pose. Really focus your attention and remember to breathe. All right, let's drop the leg off 3 to 4 foot behind you. Remember your railroad tracks, right thumb, right hip crease, left hand inside of straightened right leg. Use that right thumb to really draw the hip back. Free the right hand once you're there. Maybe the gaze follows up to the ceiling. We're here for 3. Full expression, left hand comes to the outside of the straightened right leg. Remember not to bring your right hip along for the ride. For 4 and 5. Release the bind, both hands to the mat. Left heel comes up, one-legged plank, press, upward facing, push back downward facing dog. Look in between your hands, step, walk, float to the top of your mat, halfway lift, forward fold, reverse the swan dive, gaze up at your thumbs, deepest back bend yet. Exhale, hands pass through center, down by the side. Left foot out to the rear of your mat. This time, really widen your feet as wide as they will go, as long as your toes are pointed towards the front. Interlace your fingers behind your back. The tendency in this pose is to spread the heels of the hands apart. You're going to keep the heels of your hands together. Draw the bind off of the bum, shoulder blades back, gaze up to the ceiling. Now, lean forward, keeping your legs straight. Change your gaze to your belly button, and then inhale, lengthen your spine closer to the mat. Exhale, bring the bind closer to the floor in front of you. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, deepen. Final inhale, lengthen. Exhale, deepen. Release the bind, hands to the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, come all the way up. For this next one, this is your opportunity for your tripod headstand. We'll go through it slow and together. Both hands are going to come to the inside of the legs for chaturanga. That means the heel of your hand is roughly equal with the heel of your foot. The tendency in this pose is to splay the arms out to the side, which loses the integration to pull the head down to the mat. Instead, if you curl your elbows in and really work on your shoulders, that gives you that increased integration to draw the head to rest comfortably on the mat. If the head is on the mat, start to work the hips up above the shoulders, maybe come to the tippy toes. From here, pop up into your tripod headstand. For this tripod headstand, we're going to work on a leg variation of Baddha Konasana, cobbler's pose. Come out the way you came in, halfway lift. Very nice. If you're upside down, do your thing. If not, hands to the hips. Inhale halfway, exhale, come all the way up. Let's sit down and just Skandasana on the right side. Right hand is planted, right elbow inside of right knee. Your left heel is planted flat on the mat. Your left toes are pointed up to the ceiling. Now, you can feel how with your right elbow, you're able to open up your right hip. Once you feel that integration, and without losing that integration, free the hand to prayer. Thumb can touch the sternum. Now, you can either keep your hands lifted, switch over to the other side, or you can scuttle your way over to the other side. Left hand plants, left knee is inside of the left elbow, or other way around. Right heel is planted, toes are pointed straight up to the ceiling. Now you can free the hands for prayer. All right, now we're gonna make this incredibly difficult. Stare directly at your TV screen or your laptop or your phone. Without looking down, we're gonna link the breath to movement. Inhale, come up. Exhale, down. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Final inhale. Final exhale. Quarter turn. We're in a runner's lunge. Both hands are on the mat. Your left foot is in between your hands. Step the right foot forward. We're in a forward fold. Go ahead and grab your strap, or you can grab your knee, or a yogi toe lock. Right hand, right toe. Left hand, left hip. We have options here, and I'll go through them. Option one, right hand grabs the right knee. You stand up in a balancing pose. Point and flex the right toes. Hold the knee closely to the body. Left hand is on the hip. That's option number one. Option number two, grab your strap or your belt, wrap it around the pad of your right foot, left hand to left hip, keeping the knee as bent as you need to, or if you can work on getting it straight, do that, holding the strap in the right hand. Left hand remains on left hip. For full expression, yogi toe lock, stand up,
hand grabbing toe pose. All right, open out to the right, look out to the left, and now back to center. Release the toes, point and flex the toes. Let's do 5 pulses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Swoop the leg back. Warrior 3. For your warrior 3, belly button to navel, gaze up to the front of your area, airplane arms, point the toes around you, planted leg is straight. For 4 and 5. Sit down into your Malasana squat. All right, for our Malasana squat, we have a checklist. Our heels are planted, our elbows are inside of our knees. I want you to work on opening up your hips, and then finally, once they're open, bring the palms together, the thumb in the sternum. Tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin, but keep your gaze lifted. I want you to imagine that string we were talking about. Pull that string up and under to give you that height. We're going to work on our straight-armed crow pose, also called a crane pose. For this pose, come to forward fold, but with your legs as wide as they were for Malasana squat. Hands are flat on the mat. Bring your knees to rest on your triceps or into your armpits. Gaze at a point in front of you. Come up to the tippy toes. Maybe walk these tippy toes towards the center, towards the midline. Eventually, pick one up, pick the other up, and then if you're up, think about drawing the heel up and into the groin. From here, you can place all the weight into the right. Start to extend the left leg for one-legged crane. Bring it back, all the weight into the left, one-legged crane. Bring it back, shoot the legs back, plank, press, upward facing, downward facing dog. Look between your hands, step, walk, float to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, forward fold. Same thing other side. Yogi toe lock, left big toe. Right hand, right hip. Or you can grab for the knee, or you can use a strap. Whichever one you select, stand up, wobble a little bit, fall a little bit into the expression of your choosing. We're here for 2, for 3, 4, and 5. Open the leg out to the left, right hand out to the right, point and flex the toe, and back to center. Both hands up. Let's do 5 pulses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shoot the leg back. Warrior 3. Stumble and fall. Gaze towards the front. 4 and 5. Both hands to the mat, both legs to the mat. Back in the crane pose. We're just here for 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Shoot the legs back, plank, press, upward facing. Push back, downward facing dog. From here, left hand to the center of the mat, roll over, side plank, right hand comes up to the ceiling. You can keep your gaze at your planted hand or gaze up to the lifted thumb. For an extra challenge, come into tree pose with the right knee up to the ceiling. From here, both hands to the mat, option to keep tree or traditional chaturanga, plank, press, upward facing, push back, downward facing dog. Right hand to the center of the mat, roll over to the left, gaze at the planted hand, gaze to the lifted thumb, maybe you pop into tree. We're here for 3, for 4, and 5. both hands to the mat, plank, press, upward facing, downward facing dog. Look in between your hands, jump to a seat, sit on your mat. First, staff pose. This is a deceptive pose. It looks like we're not doing much of anything, but in reality, our heels are planted, our toes are pointed up to the ceiling. There's so much activation in our heels that our calves and our hamstrings are elevated off of the mat. Tuck the chin, but keep the gaze lifted. From here, hands above the head, exhale, forward fold over your straightened legs. You can grab the shins, grab the feet, hands on the top, bottom of the feet, or grab the heels. Inhale, halfway lift, really lengthen your spine. Exhale, forward fold, draw your forehead to rest comfortably on your shin. We're here for 3, for 4, and 5. Release back the way you came. Both hands behind the hips. Point and flex the toes. Do not allow the legs to spread out. And pick everything up, pick the hips up for reverse plank. Press the feet flat on the mat. Relax the neck behind you. Gaze behind you. Hips a little bit higher. Relax the head back to the ground. Lay flat on your back. Setting up for bridge pose. Bend your heels, bend your knees, heels planted flat on the mat. Your fingertips can just brush your heels. All right, with an inhale, pick up the hips, interlace the fingers under the back. Really draw the hips up to the ceiling. Now point and flex the toe, right foot. Come up on the left tippy toe. Bring that right foot down. Point and flex the left foot, tippy toe. You're on your right tippy toes. Bend the knee, come back down. Release the bind. Bring your hips to the mat. Slide them to the left and slide them to the right. We're going to do the same thing in wheel. Both hands come around the ears. Your elbows are glued together. Your fingertips are brushing your shoulder blades. We'll do wheel in 2 steps. Step 1, bridge pose. Step 2, push into wheel. If you have your wheel, right foot up to the ceiling, point and flex the toes. Bring the right foot down, planted. Left foot up, point and flex the toes. Left foot down, tuck the chin, come out of your wheel. Windshield wiper your legs left and windshield wiper your legs right. Next, final happy baby. Grab the outside pinky edges of your feet. Slowly roll from side to side, massaging and ironing out your lower back. Maybe you do ninja baby, extending one leg straight, extending the other leg straight, extending both legs at the same time. Very nice. Both knees into the chest. Bring the shoulder blades off of the mat. Draw your knee to your nose. Tuck everything tight, heels to hips. We're here for 4 and 5. Release the pose. Setting up for your Shavasana. Lay in Shavasana. Take 3 deep breaths. Roll over to fetal position, and then up to a comfortable seat. I want to thank you all for joining me for this abbreviated flow. I hope we got to some of the things that you miss in your practice, taking classes like from me and from other teachers here at Black Swan. As I said in the beginning of class, these classes are completely donation-based. We're not paid for our time here. Some of the yoga teachers here, this is their full-time job, so if you can donate any amount, we certainly would appreciate it. There's a link above this video or on the page where you got this video for you to donate. It's super easy. We would really appreciate it. I think we're going to continue to do this in the next coming days and weeks, so share it with your friends, let them know. If you have any feedback, let us know. Again, my name is Robert. The student and teacher inside me sees and honors the student and teacher inside each one of y'all. Namaste.